The biggest threat to your AI strategy right now is not the technology. It's the government. And I can prove it. Let's get into it. Last July, Anthropic, the company that makes Claude, signed a $200 million contract with the Department of Defense. They were the first AI lab to integrate their models into classified military networks. Then came the Iran conflict. The Pentagon wanted unrestricted access to Claude for, and this is their language, all lawful purposes. Anthropic drew two lines: no fully autonomous weapons without human oversight, and no mass surveillance of Americans. The Pentagon's response? Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth designated Anthropic a supply chain risk. Now let me be clear about what that means. This is the first time that label has ever been applied to an American company. It's a designation that was traditionally used against foreign adversaries. Federal agencies now have 6 months to phase out all of Anthropic's technology. And OpenAI entered negotiations with the Pentagon within days, probably hours. Now think about what just happened. A majority AI vendor, one that thousands of businesses build workflows around, had its government access revoked. Not because the technology failed, because the politics shifted. Now, if you're thinking, okay, but that's defense contracts, that's not my accounting practice. I need you to stay with me here, because the vendors you build your workflows around are subject to these exact same forces. One executive order, one regulatory designation, and the tool you've trained your team on, built your SOPs around, and embedded in your delivery model gets pulled out from under you. And it's not just the federal level. The state level is worse. Oregon's SB 1546 has passed both chambers and is headed to the governor's desk. It requires chatbot disclosure. It mandates crisis response protocols for AI systems. It includes specific protections for minors. And it takes effect January 2027. And Oregon is just one of many states that aren't waiting for federal guidance. Across the US, 78 AI-related bills are moving through 27 state legislatures. No unified framework, no consistent definitions. California alone estimates compliant cost at $16,000 annually for small businesses. And a recent analysis puts the average compliance overhead at 17% for firms operating across state lines. Meanwhile, the federal government is going the other direction. The Trump administration's executive order favors deregulation and explicitly pushes back on state-level restrictions. They pressured Utah to soften its AI disclosure requirements. Federal preemption battles are coming. So if you run a CAS practice, especially across state lines, or you serve clients who do, the rules now change depending on which state you're in, which vendor you use, and which administration is setting the priorities. And the global picture isn't better. The EU AI Act hits its most significant compliance milestone on August the 2nd of this year. High-risk AI obligations, transparency rules, national sandbox requirements, all take effect. Fines run up to 35 million euros, or 7% of global turnover. And here's the part that matters for US or Canadian firms like ours. It has extraterritorial scope. If you serve EU clients or use tools that process EU data, you're covered regardless of where your firms sit. Canada offers the opposite problem. No comprehensive federal AI legislation exists. Their Artificial Intelligence and Data Act has stalled. Canadian firms have more flexibility right now, but zero regulatory predictability. When legislation arrives, it'll come all at once. The lesson here is simple. Regulatory uncertainty isn't the absence of risk. It's the presence of unpriced risk. Okay, so what do you do about it? This is where yesterday's argument about AI in the gaps becomes a risk management strategy, not just an efficiency play. If your AI workflows are deeply embedded in a single vendor's ecosystem, their prompts, their integrations, their proprietary agent frameworks, you're exposed. Not just to that vendor's product decisions, to every government action that affects that vendor. But the firms building in the gaps, using AI for communication, document processing, analysis, advisory prep, and context engineering have built something no government decision can reach. Those workflows don't depend on specific vendors' API. They don't require a specific model. They run on structured knowledge about your clients, your processes, and your firm. Knowledge that transfers across any tool. That's not just operational flexibility, that's political risk insurance. Now, here's where I need to be direct with you. This is not a technology problem. This is a strategic leadership problem. Which tools do you invest in? How deeply do you embed them? How do you structure your workflows for resilience? These are the decisions landing on your desk right now. And they're exactly the kind of decisions that benefit from peers who have already wrestled with them. Tomorrow, I'm going to show you how fast the window to build is closing. Anthropic's labor market data makes the timeline very concrete. But the government risk we covered today is what makes the how you build as important as the whether you build. This is why I've created the AI Champions Circle, a small group of senior CAS practice leaders, owners, and internal champions working through exactly these decisions together. Structured peer discussions, not a Slack channel. Curated AI intelligence briefings, so you're not spending your weekends reading every announcement, and direct access to me between meetings when something lands on your desk that can't wait. The firms moving fastest on AI right now shouldn't be doing it alone. They need a well-informed community that shares what's working, flags what isn't, and holds each other accountable for actually implementing, not just talking about it. That's the circle. If you're making these calls in isolation, you don't have to. Go to the aiaccountant.ai/circle to join the AI Champions Circle today. Because the decisions you're making right now about AI tools, vendor risk, and workflow resilience are too important to make in isolation. I'll see you tomorrow for data that makes the timeline real.